DMLSS FM 5-Year Roadmap. Concept number 11, DMLSS FM Ecosystem. The tools used to demonstrate the concept are not selected as the only solutions possible, but to illustrate what type of an ecosystem could develop in this next version of DMLSS FM once a services-oriented architecture is enabled. Other vendors are encouraged to demonstrate how their solutions fit into the DMLSS FM ecosystem. Standards enable compliant applications to extend DMLSS FM functionality. For this proof of concept, we used a lot of different standards such as web services and REST, XML, GIS standards, BIM IFC standards, COBie standards, BPIE standards from the Building Smart Alliance, and the connection to other servers. Once everyone is using a common way to talk about data, it's possible to move it from application to application, either in real time or also to do an export and an import into other applications. So for example, with web services, we demonstrated how web services can feed into other applications and through XML formats even into other applications that use BIM, or through IFCs into other applications and into other uses such as connecting into specifications or into mobile applications and into the app economy. We encourage future development of apps to connect to DMLSS FM once the connectivity to that is established and published, and the DMLSS FM ecosystem grows in this way. COBie and BPIE are a way to move data in BPIE from the early programming, COBie into operations and maintenance, and a lot of applications have already been demonstrated to successfully use COBie, and for this proof of concept we're showing how COBie can actually help to do that as well. GIS we feel is critical, especially for a portfolio of projects, but even if it was a single building, it's the same implication of how do we deal with the environment around us, but especially for DoD MHS. It's a natural fit, obviously, and GIS already exists out there in the DoD. We use that as part of the driver for the proof of concept of using GIS to identify location, and we feel that's a critical component of this. Servers, BIM servers, or future servers that might come along that could connect to DMLSS FM data. We demonstrated a live proof of concept with a BIM server connected to DMLSS FM and the type of functionality that could develop with that. We also are very keen on looking at what other servers are doing and how servers can start talking to each other once you start working with the environment that's out there for building information modeling, for example. A lot of potential exists there, and DMLSS FM needs to be structured in a way that actually can feed into this ecosystem as well to generate additional value. Connection to the outreach we did to other parts of the industry, for example, to Aditas, letters that were written from different supporters of saying things like it's imperative that we seamlessly integrate our technology platform with our customer's requirement, and basically asking to connect to the data. How do we get to the data is always a challenge. When you start a project, if you can't get to the information, the status quo today is basically to go out and collect stuff again from scratch, which happens a lot with planning of healthcare facilities, planning and management, and we feel that DMLSS FM has a huge amount of potential value to consultants that can use that. Iris Energy, real-time sensors and energy data. If VA and DoD makes their data machine readable in an open standard format, it will enable the industry to consume and provide value back on that facility. Mike Lavelle from Iris Energy. Beck Technology, also talking about web services and implementations that we're able to do on the MacroBIM project, also relates back to DMLSS again. Whether it's on the early planning stages or in operations and maintenance, it's data. Data is data, and it can move throughout the life cycle, back and forth, and Beck Technologies is a leader in that. Codebook as well, working with programming data from SEPs. Again, how do you move data? Complexity of getting to the data in a structured format. Excel is a good starting point, but there's a lot more potential in that as we look at DMLSS and what can DMLSS FM data do as far as helping to connect to solutions such as eSpecs. How do we connect to specifications and BIM? Then you look at carbon footprinting. Climate Earth has a web-enabled application that looks at BIM and connects to BIM and says, what's your carbon footprint for a project? What type of concrete are you using for new construction? Could also be used for existing facilities. What happens when you expose your data to consultants that have that capability to work with that? Real-time energy monitoring from InScope International. This was actually an interesting example. This is called a iframe link. What you're seeing on screen is the Onuma system with Google Earth background with InScope International. It's a live sensor feed directly embedded in the BIM and the GIS in this case. This connection literally took, from our side at least, in the proof of concept development, about 3 or 4 minutes to actually embed their iframe. They sent us an iframe with live data. You click on their frame and it opens up real-time sensor data from a building. So imagine what this type of mashup of different functionality can result in. So for example, that was a whole site energy calculation, but you could do things like point to a chart, for example, and filter out where are the offices that are using this type of energy. So the connection between CAFM and floor plan data that has DMLSS FM data about equipment and spaces that also can potentially connect to sensor data and energy use in a building. So you can have kind of a dashboard that shows you what's going on with my facility. Technologies that already exist today to give you this total asset visibility in dashboards in many formats. Again, the data in a decoupled format, neutralized so applications can read it, combine it into new functionality on the fly as needed in simple formats. To create this ecosystem, the ecosystem that we can imagine today, but imagine 5 years from now. This is going to continue to grow, and the more access you give in a structured way with security in place and all that, there's a huge potential value to just tap into what already exists out there to work into the DMLSS FM data. So the tools that were evaluated, we looked at obviously for DMLSS FM, we're focusing on operations, construction to operations and facility management. But all of these stages actually stack up together. So operations feeds back into planning again when you renovate, for example. So programming, so the full life cycle of a facility. We looked at a lot of tools as part of the proofs of concept, as part of the DMLSS FM roadmap. We couldn't cover all the tools. It was a short, 6-month cycle here. So we actually had a lot of tools that we were familiar with that we were able to incorporate into the proofs of concept. We also had direct interaction with other vendors to say, well, if this was made possible, what else could you do with it? We also looked at tools that were already compliant to COBie, for example, or IFC, or had BIM server capability of what would that look like if we enabled their connection back to DMLSS FM. And we also had discussions with existing applications that didn't have connectivity the way that's optimal, but could adjust their application to connect to it. So that discussion was interesting because it was about if an owner like the DoD MHS has healthcare facilities and they open up their data in this format, would you be willing to open the connection to your application in 2 directions? So it's not only exporting from the owner's application or owner's server into your application, but we want to get data back out from your application that other tools can use. A very critical piece of this. So it's not just about vendors getting the data from you as an owner and using it in their application. It's still very valuable and powerful, but imagine if it could go in 2 directions that could feed back and forth, and we can cross-cut through all of these phases of a project. It really doesn't matter what phase you're in. Its data is the same. If it's about a building, if it's about a space, if it's about a piece of equipment, it should have an authoritative source location, which is the owner's data and standards that then get fed into the different applications that then create more value and provide information back that other applications can use as well, because no single system or single tool is going to be able to do it all. Therefore, this open standards architecture that starts off right now with file exchanges to confirm, are we talking about the same thing? But eventually, as we head into a services-oriented architecture approach, the applications that can read data in real time can jump in and connect that data to do like sensor data that we talked about, or work order systems, or mobile applications. A lot more is going to be possible, and as an owner, this is actually your chance, since you have massive amount of data in DMLSS FM, mountains of data that's incredibly valuable, that if you structure it with this roadmap in mind, that you can help drive the industry to support you for healthcare, but also because of the size of healthcare and DoD, we strongly believe that this has implications way beyond healthcare. And this is a great place to be able to help move the industry forward and help support your needs at the same time. Very exciting time and a very exciting project.